So congratulations on winning the
Thank you.
most outstanding fledgling business
Because,
award.
yeah, it's a
It's a
mouthful,
bit of a
isn't it?
mouthful, but nonetheless, such a cool achievement.
No, we were stoked.
It's always really cool to meet everyone at the other side of it and see everyone's
Absolutely.
businesses and stuff.
Super interesting, right, to hear about what
It's such
people
a
are
huge range. I can't Yeah, the industries and, like, the ideas are just, like, really interesting. So what inspired you to start ISpyNits?
Yeah, look, it's not something you wake up one day and say, I'm going to get into the headlights industry by any means. And that's one of the most interesting things about it when you meet other people in the industry is finding out how they came into it. But for me personally, it was up until last year was working at the University of Auckland in a business development role with our kind of Centres for Research and Excellence and top achieving school students across New Zealand. And I loved it. But of course, I was also a single mum, or still am a single mum too. And my oldest, who is now 11, a couple of years ago, he's autistic, and he is very sensory sensitive as a result. And I was sort of battling the head lice thing that tends to happen. And then basically he was not dealing with the traditional treatments very well. He didn't want to sit there while I was checking his hair. He didn't like the smell of any of the shampoos or anything like that. And it just became such a horrible task for both of us. But and then a little thought crept in my mind because, long story short, I was used to be a veterinary nurse many years ago, and we used to use UV light to diagnose ringworm with animals because it actually fluoresces under UV light. And the university, I don't know how I stumbled across it, was just a really interesting article talking about how entomologists were now experimenting with anti-theft or fingerprinting powder with tracking insects at night. So obviously like sprinkling it on them and then being able to then track them through UV light during even
Gosh.
because otherwise, yeah, how do you know where they're going? And I remember just thinking, oh, I just wonder if we could combine that and kind of make that work for head lice. And so I ordered some from the States and I dumped it on Hugo's head and it was like, oh, this is awesome. And it didn't need ethics approval, but
Yeah.
then you look at like the ingredients and think, oh, you can't put that in kids' hair all the time. And then obviously the cost of it was just so high. But then it kind of spurred me on to get my way into the University of Auckland chemistry labs. And I was given some PhD students and I kind of did a lot of research and managed to come up with a formulation that kind of adhered to the proteins of the lice egg, but also was kind of sort of non-toxic and also
Yeah.
could be made for a price that was reasonable. So I entered it in the university's innovation challenge and it won one of the prizes there. And then it went on to be entered into the Velocity $100,000 challenge and it won the social prize of that as well. And then you incubate for about 7 months into one of their startup business incubators, which is really, really helpful. It kind of gives you an idea of the things
Yeah.
you need to look at. And at the end of that, I was really fortunate that the university came on board for our first round of investment. And then later on, Kiwi Kids Ventures joined us as well as the university again, and then an angel investor. So then it got to the point last year where I was kind of burning out and I couldn't do all the things. And so I had to make a pretty bold choice to step away and work on the business full time just because it was, taking up a lot of time, a lot of community work, a lot of education, a lot of time. So I said, okay, I'm going to have a go at this. And it's been a very wild year. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had no idea. I thought it must have to be very scientifically backed, obviously, but you never know
yeah,
just how many layers there are to that.
I often just say that coming up with the idea was the easiest thing that I've ever done in the whole process, and then everything else has been really hard and really expensive.
Yeah.
Regulatory approval, legal, just navigating different markets. We're now looking at tariffs, all sorts of
Yeah.
import, export logistics. Yeah, it's been crazy. So I just continue trying to learn new things every day, really.
Yeah. Oh, no, totally. It's
Ye
great that it's really taken
Yeah,
off.
I think the incubator was a really wonderful way, and I recommend everyone going to try and find incubators because I know like the Ministry of Awesome has them as well. It's not just a university thing, but like it just gives you that safe space to kind of fail and try ideas and learn the
Yeah.
basics and foundations. And I think that in itself is, because it's such a lonely experience being a founder, I think that in itself is so valuable.
That's such an interesting way to come about to it.
I
Um,
know.
oh, I was like, I would have never thought, obviously, you have to have the experience to think of pairing those things together, but I just remember
I must have
people.
been really annoyed because I
Yeah,
kind of
you're
just
really
didn't
frustrated
see.
with the problem. That's
Right?
when you
Yeah,
get
it
your best
reframed the
ideas, I
whole
think.
thing instantly for him into sort of finding glow in the dark bugs. He really likes bugs and loves
Yeah.
glow in the dark stuff and love like the science aspect. And that's something that really comes through with the company, is that the whole one of the big pillars of the company is education and destigmatization. And so it's just about taking something that happens a lot, like at least one in every
Yeah.
3 kids in New Zealand at any one time, and reframes it into something that is, fun, and hopefully it helps reduce stigma, and the kids get really interested in it, and then allows us just to talk about it more openly, and then kind of empowers parents to feel like they can cope with it, and the kids buy into the whole process of treatment and things like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, looking at the videos, I was gonna say, it actually looks like a lot of fun. I wish it was around when I was younger.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And yeah, you're right, it's that smell that they can kind of, obviously, you don't like it, but it's like you go to school and you smell, like your
Yeah.
hair smells
And
like
there are
it.
better ways to do it. Like that's
Yeah. People just obviously haven't really paid attention to it, hasn't been.
There has been very little innovation in this
Yeah.
for a very long time, but they've found lice combs in tombs. They're still pulling ancient lice off ancient Egyptian mummies and using them to track ancient migration patterns
Oh my
and things
god.
like that. So, they're a massive part of history. And so when you start diving into that with kids, they get really into it and really interested. There's sort of these crazy bugs that can hold on to anything, and they fart their way out of their shells, and
Really?
the kids
I
love
bet you
all that
kids love
stuff.
that. Kids love
Yeah,
that, eh?
they do love it.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, yeah, so obviously it was an industry that needed a bit of love.
Hopefully, I'd love to see it just, yeah, look a little bit more fun, right? We do a lot of school sessions. In New Zealand, that's really important, like supporting that local education sector with community groups and schools, and we teach free education sessions. I was scientists and residents at MOTAT this year for the April school holidays. It's just about, again, just bringing attention and brand awareness, because that's also really challenging when you've got a new product. If it's particularly innovative, it doesn't mean that people automatically know about it, and often they do need
Mm,
that little bit of education because it is so different to what
yeah.
they're traditionally used to. So yeah, that's been fun and expensive.
Yeah, lengthy and expensive, but I'm sure all well worth it. I mean, it's great that you've been recognized kind of along the whole way.
Well, yeah, and that's the David Awards was so amazing, because for us, being in New Zealand and Australia, we're a grade 1 medical device. There's a lot of regulation and rules around what we can and can't do in terms of advertising and things. So we can't post or refer to testimonials or product
Really?
ratings and things like that. And so for us, trust icons are a really, really valuable tool. So being able to have the David Award badges, say, on our website and stuff, is a really important
Yeah.
function to those trust icons. So, but at least people know that, we do it by the book and everything is
Yeah.
approved and regulated, and I think that's really important, because people look to a brand to provide that, and hopefully that's what they see when they see that we've done everything, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, very above board. So
Yeah.
people appreciate that, especially when it comes to their kids, I think.
Yeah,
It's quite a
absolutely.
sensitive.
Very much.
Love
Hugely,
it.
hugely, which is why
Yeah.
we often look for reviews, but so it's been interesting working around that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. I never knew that. You've kind of already talked to this, but what's the most exciting development happening with your business right now?
Well, probably the reason I was in the States. So I actually won one of the Air New Zealand dream seats. You could make an application and say, look, I've got this opportunity, but look, it's just not in the numbers for us to be able to go and take it up. And it's because I had been invited over to Florida to meet with lice experts over there. And I really wanted to go and get the latest information and research and bring it back here and release a report for New Zealand's community education and health community, so that we really knew where all the latest findings were. And they were really, in New Zealand, very cool, and they awarded me the seat. And
That's so
so
good.
I know. And then, of course, when I went over, I was able to spend time in different cities working in lice clinics, but I was also able to meet with a distributor who was very interested in us. And so they've made a distribution offer that we're now considering in terms of supplying to lice clinics. And we're just hopefully working out the last sort of little bits about what that will look for. And the reason that's really exciting is that we've already received FDA approval registration for our products to go in as cosmetics. And it just gives us a gateway into selling into the US market, which, could be as early next year, really, which is really exciting. That just allows us then to be in New Zealand, Australia, and America across, different distribution channels.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge step
Yeah.
up. I imagine your supply sort of will just skyrocket if you're going to
Yeah, that's gonna mean
places.
well, we'll have different, we have a manufacturer overseas as well, and it'll just be more logistics around that because obviously freight from New Zealand is super expensive.
Yeah.
But, it would be really exciting to get that ball rolling, and so, yeah, I think that's the most exciting thing is sort of the volume change, just the general amount of people needing assistance with it is just substantially higher in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that allows us to support our, markets back here much better as well.
Gosh, that is so exciting. So, yeah, like,
Oh, and trip.
hard I'm sure it's been a hard grind, but
It has. Well, look, if it all pans out, would be great. And it was just really, really amazing to meet all these other lice experts and be able to talk
yeah.
lice with them because it's not something I get to do
Yeah.
very often. So, I mean, other
But with
lice
this
nerds. So, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it comes up in topic all the time, I
not
guess,
that often, no.
and not probably in the, like, kind of in-depth way that you're able to
Yeah, and
speak
they've
to
all
it.
come from really different backgrounds. It might be school nursing or education, but what they all seem to have in common is this deep level of care and wanting to work with kids, and especially on that sort of education front, and work to empower parents as well. So that was a really nice kind of common theme I could see across everybody.
That's really cool. Yeah, all dedicated to that.
Yeah, so we'll be releasing that report very shortly into the
Ooh,
media, which will be exciting, and
that's so exciting.
yeah, provides some really valuable insights for people.
That's so cool. Um, Also, why did you enter the David Awards? And what would you say to other businesses thinking of entering?
I entered because it can be really helpful, and I guess because I've entered a few of these competitions, particularly through the university pathway that I did, is it makes you get everything out of your head and get it organized and put it on paper and make it real and really strategize about what you're trying to achieve, because you can have it all neatly filed in here, but that's not that helpful sometimes. And B, it allows other people to provide feedback on what your business model is, and that can be really useful as well because you often don't get to talk to lots of other people about your model and your idea and things like that. And so having an award that looked at every aspect of your business really makes you look at every aspect of your business. I think it's well worth the time to make these applications because even if you're not fortunate enough to be into the finals or the winner, you still have this record of all the things that you're trying to achieve and why. And it really makes you look at your why all the time. That's super helpful for any business from a strategic point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly what you've said. Like we've had a lot of feedback around, they'll come and they won't necessarily win, but they'll be able to reset and sort of go ahead for the next round,
Hmm.
then potentially be a finalist, and the next year potentially be a winner. And it's quite a good way to sort of graduate, I think.
Yeah, again, and New
Yeah.
Zealand's wonderful at providing that. We talk about that sort of safe space of like
Yeah.
growth and innovation and trying to, encouragement. And so these programs and awards are really, really important in that feeling of support and then, letting people fly and kind of having the training wheels come off and then head out into maybe bigger, more international competitions or opportunities and things. And
Yeah,
also
or
just
often
showcase how awesome Kiwis are with their innovation.
yeah.
Bring it to light, bring it to the surface, because otherwise you don't hear about it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, every year, I'm always surprised at, like, how unique people's ideas are, just the way they're doing things so differently. And, one thing the David Awards does really well is that a lot of business awards have maybe a minimum number of employees. to
They do.
enter or minimum,
Yeah.
revenue or all that kind of thing. Yeah. Some of the coolest ideas from the smallest of teens, and then you kind of just watch them grow.
Just there really has been a gap in that little market. And that's the time, honestly, where you need the most encouragement and you need even guidance or that I don't know, third party accountability of putting something down into the words.
I know the judge panel, their like tenure in business is insane. Even to have the chance to have people like that look at your business model. Like you said, like you have all your lice experts, but then this is a
It's a totally
separate
different
thing of the business model.
Yeah. It's like FMCG, like fast moving consumer goods and retail is just such a huge, crazy sector. Like it's
Yeah.
never, right? It's so competitive. The margins are brutal. Everything in it is really, really fast paced. And so yeah, so any help we can get is always, always appreciated.
So it's so nice to take a moment and kind of give yourself a pat on the back because, like I said, the sounds of it, you guys are really nailing it and finding such a cool niche that just hasn't been explored or innovated for so
Yeah,
long.
that'd be good.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
good to get
cool.
that feedback in America too because it's such a big market over there. But no, they were very like just as impressed, which was really exciting for us.
Mm.
Seeing Kiwis
Yay.
punch above their weight a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next for
Yeah.
ISpyNits? Yeah.
So hopefully America, like properly, we're sort of just putting all the pieces together and, but we've been given some really awesome opportunities to consider. And hopefully that means that we would be looking at selling into there in 2026. Yes. And that's a big focus for us. So there's so much money and time that had to go into it before you could even launch. It's really
Yeah.
nice to see some of these foundational things paying off. And now we're starting to look at like widening distribution channels and brand awareness and marketing growth, which is probably my most hated part. Like the social
Well,
digital
it
marketing and the
it
social
makes it
media.
pretty hard if you can't do reviews and testimonials and stuff
Just
like
yeah, it's
that.
not my happy place, and it's apparently the more expensive part. Even more expensive than regulatory is just getting that brand growth. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're looking at that in really innovative ways, and you'll see us around a bit this summer and doing, we do Fun Fest in Auckland in January, and that's an awesome initiative, like a not-for-profit with the Wiri Licensing Trust, and it puts on this
Yep.
amazing festival for kids over like 5 days. They have rides and it totally rivals, Rainbow's End. And we
Yeah.
were like the most popular stall last year. So they're
Really?
very keen to have
Oh,
us back
cool.
with our educational content and stuff. So we're really looking forward to engaging with the community. And yeah, and it's just cool, to see people reacting to I've got a complete car covered in glow in the dark head lice. And so I love seeing kids that get a kick out of it. And yeah, we really just want to make people rethink it and make it fun and,
Yeah.
have kids get really involved in the process and understand that, you can use everyday science to solve everyday problems. Absolutely.
My gosh, it's almost like kids are getting excited to get lice
Yeah,
at this
that
point.
was the dream. I've had a few people, like kids say that, like, I want one, and the parents like, we don't have head lice, and they're like, but I
And
still
they're like,
want
"Oh,
it. And I'm like, the dream would be that kids, want to get lice because it means nailed
yeah."
it. I'm sure the
I don't know
parents
if the parents want that,
no,
but
the parents don't agree. It's a pain.
when it
But
makes
it's,
it feel easy.
it's something that I've experienced firsthand, and it really is trying to do, just trying to give the parents another option to do something that hopefully makes it easier and makes less
Yeah.
stress. Because, I'm right in the thick of it still anyway, and I get how painful it can be with these things, and
Yeah.
particularly our sensory sensitive kids. It just provides people with a really low sensory kind of option.
That's so cool. I think it's so awesome what you're doing in this space. Again, huge congratulations
Thank
for
you.
not only this award, but for obviously everything else that is
And
recognized
thank
your
yeah, well,
guys'
thank
work.
you guys for supporting the awards, and I'm looking forward to seeing them grow as well and evolve. And we're very grateful to the David Awards for the recognition. It means a whole lot, as you say, with people with tenure like that. Like, what an amazing achievement for us, and we're really grateful that they exist.
Mm.